Did you not set it up? Oh, it says recording.
It's recording now. I have to chop the beginning off. It has more options all of a sudden. So anyways, hello everybody. This is Tom, and this is another Epidose of us crazy carnivores. I brought a few of my friends along. So I'd like to introduce you to Emily, Joe, wait first, Joe, and Justin, not Justine, my bad. And Emily, why don't you take it away? Why don't you introduce us?
Well, I thought that it would be cool if we just showed people what it's like in a typical Meet RX online social meeting, because we do this every night, and it's just carnivores talking about carnivore things. So how about everybody just go around? I'm going to start with you, Justin, and just let us know how you came to carnivore.
Yeah, so I came to carnivore because of migraines and the work of Angela Staton and her treatment for migraines. There's a way to do it where basically if you cut the carbs and you cut the sugar, it allows for the sodium and potassium channels in the brain to function more properly. And so with migraines, there's an issue of using up too much sodium, and then you're stuck, and then it creates a chain reaction where you end up with the headache and the nausea, and it just becomes a bad time, lack of energy and fatigue. So I was going through her book, doesn't specifically go into carnivore, but in her specific group on Facebook, she does. I decided to sign on because that's just much easier than counting macros and watching my carbs.
Yeah.
And you can eat this and you can't eat that. It's just like, all right, carbs are bad. I'm just not going to eat them. And then just going from there with no plants, because plants also disrupt the channels and things like that. So that's a quick synopsis.
Great. And so you were able to resolve your headaches, your migraines.
Yes, absolutely. So I've started since April of 2019. It's now 2020. Woo! The last time I had to take sumatriptan, which is a very well-known migraine medication, was July 5th of 2019. So I have the date marked. So we're coming up for a while, whereas when I was first diagnosed, I was getting migraines like every other day. Through some other stuff, I was able to knock them down to a week, but now months without a migraine, it's so awesome. I just love the energy, love the feeling of just being pain-free, and all the other changes and improvements that we're all, I'm sure, going to talk about, if not in this episode, future episodes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So Tom, tell us how you came to carnivore.
Well, I had really bad arthritis and psoriasis and anxiety, and like a lot of people, I went keto and my arthritis got better. I found myself just gravitating towards eating more meat. And then I discovered this whole carnivore community of thousands of people. I mean, when you find out that there's already people who have been eating nothing but meat for 20 years, and then there's a whole another generation of 10 years, 12 years, 11 years. And then I saw Sean Baker on Joe Rogan's podcast, and I was like, and it just kind of blew the lid off, and I was already kind of gravitating towards that. And I realized when I stopped eating things like spinach and kale and almonds and stuff like that, I felt so much better. And so the quality of life has just been amazing. And I've been eating nothing but meat for over 2 years now.
Wow.
I'm 49, back in the gym, lifting heavy, just enjoying it. I'm way more active, no more arthritis, anxiety's much better, the whole 9 yards. So so far I'm here to stay. I can't find anything better.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm glad you're here to stay, because we need you absolutely in our community.
Well, you too.
So Joe Zumbo is our amazing friend from Australia. Joe, tell us how you came to carnivore.
Right, so I came to carnivore from keto, and I came across Sean Baker, his Instagram page. I thought this looks pretty interesting, so I thought, I'll give it a go, but I'm going to introduce it slowly and see what benefits I could get. in that time, I suffered from acid reflux, and quite severely. So transitioned into carnivore, full carnivore, back in October 2018, and within about 2 months, my acid reflux went away. But I also noticed as a cyclist, my athletic performance, really improved. So there's no turning back for me. It's acid reflux, the performance, mental clarity. It's everything. It's for me, it's the complete package.
That's awesome. That's so cool to hear. So a little bit about mine, because that's not fair for me to ask you guys and not, reveal my own stuff.
Let's hear it, Emily.
But briefly, I came to carnivore because I was suffering from debilitating mental illness. I had bipolar disorder that I was highly, highly, highly medicated for, and still not functioning. I was out of work for about a period of about 6 months. It was so bad that I couldn't work anymore. And I was living with my mom just so she could help out, with my son. And my brother reached out to me with the audiobook from the first chapter of Amber O'Hearn's book. And Amber O'Hearn tells about her story where she, about 9-10 years ago, that she ate meat only, and she was able to resolve her bipolar disorder symptoms. And that was still 10 years ago. So I figured if this worked for this woman, that I would at least try it and hope that I get a little bit of relief. Like, I wasn't even hoping that I would get this all resolved. I was just hoping for a little bit of relief. And I went from the complete standard American diet. I ate everything horrible that there is, all day, every day, to overnight I went to carnivore. And I cut out dairy and eggs and everything. I just ate 50% meat and 50% animal fat. And that was very, very intense as far as dramatic, but it was very important because it revealed the underlying cause. And what was really going on inside underneath all of this was that I have multiple sclerosis. So I was hospitalized in March and diagnosed with MRIs and lumbar puncture and everything with multiple sclerosis. And I couldn't walk. And a logical person would say, I started eating only meat and now I can't walk, so maybe I shouldn't do that. But no, I'm pretty stubborn, and I kept going. And even in the hospital, and then even afterwards, and I had delayed and slurred speech, and debilitating brain fog. Like, I couldn't even follow 2-3-step processes. But I kept eating meat, and I kept eating meat, and then I kept getting stronger. And I haven't had a bipolar episode. I haven't had a manic or depressive episode since April of 2019. So I started February 24th. And then by the beginning of May, I didn't have any more symptoms of the bipolar disorder, and I was still on the medication. Since then, I've been able to taper off of all medications, and still stay out of the psych ward, which is really cool. Because usually with bipolar disorder, it's medication or psych ward. And I got to resolve that by treating it with meat. And then I haven't had an MS symptom since May 9th. I've been able to walk and balance and talk, obviously, and think just fine. And I just started some really intense yoga 2 weeks ago, and I'm able to balance and have control of my limbs. And you don't get to do that usually with MS. You usually, struggle quite a bit to do things like that. So that's my story, and I am never going back. I am going to eat meat for the rest of my life because it's amazing. But I have a question for you guys, another question. What role do you think, or would you say, that willpower plays in your experience with carnivore? How would you say, you know, because a lot of times with diets and everything, it's just like, oh, you know, I got to count this and measure that and do this and do that, and I got to, you know, be really good. So what has been your experience with willpower and how it applies with carnivore? Justin?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, do you need willpower to stay away from arsenic? You know what I mean? Once it's like you realize that something is hurting you, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. And so, you know, with the migraines, I had tried like everything. I did vegan juicing, I did raw vegan for a while, a little bit of that. I was avoiding a lot of meat for some reason. That's what everyone says to do. I was doing, I went to naturopaths, had a full blood allergy test done. Did that. They said to avoid gluten and dairy, and then there's some soy as well. So I did that, and it helps, but you know, I still had depressive symptoms, still had anxiety symptoms, you know, juice cleanses, like just everything. And so if you're on the search for it, nothing will stop you. You know, I think it's just the will to search. It's not about the food. It's the will to, I know that I can feel better than I'm feeling today. And there's got to be a way to get to that destination. And I think that's where the willpower is coming from. It's not about staying away from food. It's about moving towards health. And so it is a journey, and you know, countless dollars, as well as popping tons of vitamins. Like, I've been there, you know, I've tried so many different things, and just going carnivore, it was difficult at first. The first 4 months or so, like my head was killing me. I felt tired. I was sleeping. Like I don't want to do a whole bunch. But once you start, it's really weird. I still don't know how to exactly describe it, but the way I have described it is that you are a diamond that's been covered in coal. And that, to me, what carnivore did for me is that I could feel some of that soot start to rub off and start to gleam from day to day. And it would just be started at just a couple hours a day, or like a half day. And then it would move to like an hour a day, or a whole day, where I felt like a gleaming diamond. And then, but now it's like whole weeks at a time. And so once you start feeling that good, that like, whoa, this is different, this is really different, the willpower becomes easy. Because like I said, then you look at how everything else you view as just sugar, processed, poison, arsenic. And that's why I said, well, do you need willpower to avoid arsenic?
Yeah. Wow, that's so amazing. And what's really cool about that analogy with the diamond is it was covered up by that coal, and that's what you thought you were. That's what you thought your life was coal. But when you realize it, you're like, I got some diamond in here. Like, this is amazing. That is so cool. That is such a great analogy. I love that.
Well said, man. Well said.
So, Tom, what would your answer be to that about willpower and carnivore?
Well, you know, I think for me, one of the things was I gravitated towards just eating meat. And I think there was, at some point, I was so careful about my diet. And I could have been, before all this, I could have been a quinoa salesman, because I was convinced that it was this nutrient dense seed that everybody could eat safely. I used to eat brown rice and quinoa and spinach and stuff all the time. Not that I didn't eat, you know, lean chicken breasts and, you know, tuna and stuff like that too. But I was like, you know, but I was going to the gym 5 days a week and working out, and my performance was going down. My weight was going up, and my joint pain was accelerating. And unbeknownst to me, in those early days, my anxiety was going through the roof. I didn't even know what anxiety was. At some point in there, I was diagnosed as being autistic, pervasive development disorder. I already knew I had a bunch of learning disabilities and stuff like that from childhood. And then somewhere in there, I got onto keto, and I was doing keto and I was doing better, but I was gravitating towards eating meat. And so I didn't really need any willpower, and I didn't have any setbacks. I didn't have any keto flu or carnivore flu. I just started eating meat and I felt better. And then if I ate something else, I felt worse. So like all of a sudden these signals were like crystal clear to me. And so it didn't really require of me much willpower at all. It was easy for me, and I know it's not going to be the same for everybody, but the path was clear. And then when I found out other people were doing it, and like other people had done it and survived, and people don't get scurvy, it's like everybody's in fear of not getting vitamin C or not eating fiber or whatever. And it's like, I even bought like fiber supplements just in case. And that just in case scenario never happened. You can't just eat meat and feel better and not have any deficiencies. And I've had tons of blood work, and I'm 49 now. I'm back in the gym. I'm lifting bigger than ever. I lift heavy weights. I spent this whole afternoon out in the brush tracking wild hogs, hoping for some fresh baby back ribs. And I just came in to make it to this meeting. So
That's awesome.
I climb trees, it's something most 49-year-olds apparently don't do.
No.
Yeah, so I didn't really need the willpower, but it was certainly would have been something that would have been on my mind. Something we kind of come from that culture where you think that you need this incredible intestinal fortitude to make big changes, but sometimes your biology just leads you down the path. And then when you find a community like this and you come to meetings like this and you hear other people's stories, especially if you do it every day, the current just carries you along, and it's almost effortless.
It is. It's amazing how it just kind of like it strengthens my resolve every time I have a meeting with you guys. I'm just like, we're on the right track, and that's so true. That's so true. It's like it increases my willpower. Like it's a no-brainer now.
Yeah, I met all these people here on the screen in the last couple months, and I look forward to talking to them every day, sometimes more than once a day. We text each other, we do video conferences together. Zumbo keeps us up to date with what's going on in and around Sydney and Greater Australia. Me and Justin live on the same coast, and Emily's out there in the Midwest sending me pictures of her car covered in ice. I feel for her.
That was horrible. So, Joe Zumbo, how would you answer that question about willpower?
Well, for me, I'm a chef. So, I had access to whatever I wanted to eat.
Temptation.
Yeah, it was temptation. Yeah, the devil was in the kitchen. So, but, in the beginning, it took a lot of willpower because, when you're a head chef, it's your responsibility to taste everything and make sure everything's, looking good before it goes out and tastes fine.
Oh my God.
So it took and then you open up the cool room door and you've got whatever dessert you want, whatever type of chocolate you want. You can have pizzas, you can have pasta, you can have salads, whatever vegetables you want. So yeah, look, it took a lot of willpower in the beginning, but I had to say to myself, okay, have that piece of cake and you're going to pay for it. And, have that piece of cake and there's the acid reflux again. And that's something that I didn't want. So for me, as time went on, it got easier. And I guess when I transitioned into carnivore, it was pretty effortless for me. But initially in the beginning, with keto, it was very difficult. very difficult. And I think cutting out all those sugars and that brain, having that brain fog makes it easier for you to sort of make those decisions, because you don't have so many thoughts, and you don't have that emotion, the emotional contact with food. So yeah, it was much easier. And as I said before, for me, it's been amazing, and I can just say to people, just stick with it, don't give in to temptation, have the willpower, just do it.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. And, for me, it was similar in that whenever I would have those reactions, it was just this message, this negative feedback from eating, whatever. And so it really kind of took care of itself. I know that sounds kind of weird, but whenever I entered this, I was very, 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 very sick mentally, and then physically. And so whenever you take those two things, really sick mentally and really sick physically, your automatic reaction is to just do the basics, to just, whatever's the easiest. It's really easy to open a box of Little Debbie cakes. It's really easy to just open a bag of chips. It's really easy to, make a bowl of ice cream. It's the easiest, the path of least resistance. But for me, I just assumed that I would fail. I did. I knew I would fail. I knew I would try really hard, but I assumed that I would fail because I've failed at every single thing I've ever tried to do. Every single idea that I ever had or plan, for diet or just for life, for organization, I have zero follow through. So why did I think that this would be any different? And I know that I generally don't have willpower. I just don't. I have like zero willpower. So it was shocking to me whenever I ate enough fat that I didn't even require willpower. I didn't even need it. I didn't need to tap into willpower, which is good because I didn't have any. But I just had to eat more fat. And once I ate more fat and once I was satiated and I was able to just eat meat and fat, then I was happy. I was okay. I didn't really want the Little Debbie cakes. And then, like, you guys said, whenever I would have that one thing, I would get that negative feedback. And so I was really shocked at how much willpower wasn't really a component of my success with carnivore. It just automatically came as I just put one foot in front of the other and I just made it as simple as possible every day. And now it's like easily the only thing I'm ever going to do for the rest of my life. I have no problem eating meat for the rest of my life. I have no problem that I will never pick up a piece of pecan pie again. And it's not sad to me because I came back to life from death, from coal. I was able to become a diamond from coal. So duh, who needs pecan pie when you got that? That's amazing. So,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I saw a friend a month or so ago who had, last time I seen him, he was going on a meat-free diet. He was gonna let himself eat meat like once a month or something because the cholesterol was so high. And I hadn't seen him in, well, maybe a year or two. And I told him, like, oddly enough, I'm on this diet now where I'm just eating meat. And I told him, I had arthritis, psoriasis, and anxiety, and if I just eat meat, that all goes away. It all gets better. And his initial reaction was, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that." And I'm like, "Well, but wait a minute, this is great. I feel great.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm content. I don't really miss the other things. I don't miss the candy or whatever, cake or ice cream or whatever. Like, you know, I'm completely content and I'm happy and I'm healthy and, you know, everything's great. I said, you don't have to feel sorry for me. You know, and he had a little trouble wrapping his mind around it. And I don't think we even finished that conversation. But you know, for people out there, there's, you know, I think for people like myself, I felt so much better so fast that nothing else really mattered.
Yeah, and you're used to in other diets or treatments,
Mm-hmm.
you're used to just feeling like crap, you know, and just being hungry all the time and being cranky all the time. And then whenever you get that little glimpse of hope, you're just like, oh, I can do this. I can do this. And it's just it all works out. It's amazing. Well, thank you guys for your time. I want to respect your time like we always do. We try to keep it under 30 minutes or around 30 minutes. But this is the best part of my day to sit and talk with you guys about carnivore and to learn from you. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Emily.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.